Hello. Okay, so a wise man once said, if you love somebody, tell them. Because most of us don't get the flowers till after we can't smell them. So I reach out to you to tell you I'm thinking about you. All that means is I've been thinking about you a lot. And I need you to know that I'm super appreciative of you. And I love you very much. And you've made a massive impact in my life. And I'm noticing, so a couple things. First, I don't expect anything back from this. This is like a happy birthday type of thing, where it's like, this is for you. It might be mostly about me, but that's all the information. That's really the information. That's really the information that I have, you know? I don't have updates on you. So it's just to tell you I love you. And I think about you a lot. And you've massively impacted my life. And then I'll go into how my life has been but reasons why you come up. And you come up a lot. I never say names in these things. You're my angels along the way. But I'm going to send this to one person. It's for you. But you are such a positive in this world. And it's not like I get frustrated when people are like, you're such a positive thinker, you're so that's not what I mean necessarily. You could probably apply that as well. But you're a positive. You are a sunny day for my life, right? And just take these words as the words that they are, you know? But I think about the times when I was perhaps a dark night for you. Not a knight in shining armor, but like pitch black. Sorrow, dreariness. One idea I've been playing with a lot. And this has been a little ongoing. There's two ideas that just make me think of you to the max. And they're two of my favorite things to talk about. And I've been doing like some character development coaching. I don't like to social media it because it's not for that. It's because I love where I've gotten in life and who I've become. And I'm still going. But don't steal this. I was driving around and I'm like, the teacher and the student. Like that. Okay, maybe you couldn't steal that because that's pretty obvious. But my mind does some stuff like that. And it's like, that's who I feel like I've been since I was in 7th grade. You know? Ripping up. I remember I was on the back of the bus. I ripped up I don't remember. It was at least a 5. A 5, a 10, or a $20 bill. And I was like, it's not about this. It's about this. And it's like, I remember that moment for me and just feeling, that's the first moment where I feel that sense of like teaching someone what I like, but also always like learning, like, am I right? You know, or is this true? You know, and a little warm, just hit a little fitness in the basement. I got a Concept 2 bike, but I just wish, you know. But no, I won't say that. I was going to say I wish we could work out again, like in the old days at the gym. But it's a privilege of mine, and it's like I say these things. A privilege of mine has been that I can take a step back, and I genuinely feel like every day of my life I can step back and say these are the best days of my life. I always feel that in the moments, you know? So it's hard for me to say, like, I wish I could go back and do this. But just the feeling, the community, the connection. Sorry, I did that. The connection. I love that and I treasure that. And I do I would love to experience it today, tomorrow, you know? But, and the lighting's not good in here. I kind of look like I'm sickly. I'm all right. But one of the big things I noticed that I did with you, and I apologize for it, but then again, I didn't know any better. I didn't know yet, you know? I feel like when you were in the gym, and I'd go to the gym, I said all those things prior, you know, the ripping the money. Because you're someone in the world where I feel like, maybe not as soon as I met you, because you were so high in other people's eyes as your skill set. I was intimidated as a coach when you came into my life, honestly. I don't know if I ever told you that. But, so I had those thoughts of like, am I educated enough? Am I a good enough coach? Because this person is like, they know a lot of stuff. Uh-oh. Definitely 10x better lifter than me. I was like, I'm gonna lose my job. But that was very short-lived for me. And then I say all those things because you're someone in this world that I just, like, I love your heart. You know, I feel like similar souls, something like that, you know? And if you disagree, that's fine, but that's what I see, and I love it so much, and I appreciate it. And so you only have really like, it's okay if I'm not one of those thoughts in your head, and it's not a weird, hey girl thought. It's just, I think you know what I'm saying. It's a hard to articulate connection that I saw in you. I always tell people, I'm like, I love, I genuinely feel like I love everyone that I've ever met. And I believe in them. And they're like, well, how could you love me? How could you believe in me? You don't even know me. And I'm just like, I see bits and pieces of myself in you. And I've worked so hard to be able to say that I do love myself, or I am proud of myself, or do believe in myself, while still holding accountable. But I see, I think, and this isn't something you learn from me, I know that. I think my favorite parts of myself, I see them in you, you know? Like, you have many other characteristics, far exceeding my range, but my favorite parts of me, I think you also possess. I don't hope. This is coming from a genuine, authentic place, so it's like, if it's perceived weirdly or differently, that's all right. It's just, you know, I'm in Northern Virginia. My grandma was really sick this year, in and out of the hospital, so I was in Southern Utah, I hopped in a rental car, drove across the country, Birmingham, Alabama. I hit a bale of cotton. It was about this tall. It was knee high. I hit it with my car on the highway going 70, 75. I had no option. Car in front of me swerved, and then there was cars on both sides, so I was like, oh, well, by the bullet. And then I pulled over at a Buc-ee's on the side of the road. God, they're amazing. And, you know, and I see cotton, and I see fuzz, and I'm like, was it a deer? Oh, God. So I stop, back up, 0 to 100, probably like 0 to 8, and the whole bottom plastic just, and I get out, I look, and I'm like, okay, no animal, no blood, that's cotton. Because, you know, Birmingham, Alabama, they're picking cotton, putting it on trucks, bringing it to manufacturers, and I'm just like, I just hit a bale of cotton in Birmingham, Alabama at 2 a.m. I have 12, after I bought duct tape and an energy drink, I may have gotten a water as well, I had $12.14 to my name. Like, period. Like, no credit card, no tricks, no aces up the sleeve. and I didn't have coverage on the car. So I was just like, huh. And I may have messaged you. Whenever I drive through South Carolina, I always think of you, you know. But one of the things I wish I had learned earlier is the principle of like standing guard at your mind, right? And these are things that I'm constantly consuming, constantly listening to and reconfirming and solidifying and teaching, because I want these ideas to really just, I believe in conditioning, right? Because then you become. A lot of people are like, I want this. And I'm like, well, what if we became the person that has that? Or at least can maintain and hold on to. Attain, maintain, hold on to, right? And it's just, that's what I aim for. So I condition. Right? So I genuinely feel like life from zoop, as far as like the outside credentials and assets. I already feel like I'm living up here. I think you know what I'm talking about. But joyous, individually fulfilled way. But I just wish I could give you a hug. I'm gonna try to keep it under 20. I know time is very precious, but I use these as like, I'm giving you something, and if you wanted to, you could send me back one. But like I said, this is like a happy birthday. This is for you. This is not for a response. This is not for you to be like, oh, Dylan, thank you, you're so sweet. This is for you, right? A lot of people will I'll receive a text. I'll send a text or send a video similar to this, and they don't know how to respond. You don't have to. It's nice to. It's nice to receive something back, but there's no accountability there. This is for you. Like I said, most people don't get the flowers till after they can't smell them. This is a a bouquet of flowers for the holiday season for you. Hopefully, that's how you see it. But it's what it is for me. But the idea of standing guard at the doors of your mind. You're extremely familiar with Tony Robbins. I know. And I always studied, starting at like 18 years old, I studied his homie, his guy that mentored him, Jim Rohn. I mean, I'm sure you know Jim Rohn, but it's like I've listened to every tape 400 million times. Like I said, I'm just trying to condition it. Right? I believe if you read a book 100 times, it's much better than reading 100 books one time. You're going to always change and see something differently than you had seen before. And so a lot of the things that I teach or live by are from Jim Rohn, right? And it's funny when you listen to Tony, like you hear it, like it's mimicked, right? So I don't feel as bad mimicking it, but I always like to say, because my boy, if you, but he stand guard at the doors of your mind, right? It's Tony does it. It has to do with the priming. And I feel like every once in a while, maybe even the majority of the time when I saw you at the gym, I was pouring poison into your cup. Unknowingly. I would just, because you were one of my people, you know? And you had the softness. So it's like that invite to be vulnerable. And you know, like I lost my mom, lost my wife. So I lose those. I'm going through this right now, like learning and trying to interpret it. But I've seen a lot of guys be rigid with other guys. And it's like rampant, right? And then I'm just sitting here and I'm just like, but they'll go and talk to this girl about some serious stuff. Or they'll go and just crumble in their mom's arms. And I'm realizing because I do not now have that ability, like to give my mom a hug. And this isn't pity Dill, no. But I'm learning it, and I'm realizing like I'm watching this, and I'm just seeing like the stuff I was going through. Had it been alternate events, I could have went to my mom and just been like, Mom, da-da-da-da, and it's gone, right? Or I could have, like, it's so simple for guys. It's like I could have given my mom a hug. and she would have accepted it, and she would have felt the heaviness. I don't know if it would have drained her, but she would have felt that, and I would have been relieved. Like, I believe that, and I didn't have that. So when I come eye to eye with you, it's just like, and I don't know if you saw it that way. I don't think you did. You never made me feel like you did. But I just know how we work now a lot better. And I know that a little drop of poison, Jim Rohn says the story. He's like, I asked the kids, you got your cup of coffee, right? And someone drops in a spoonful of sugar, right? What happens? And the kids are like, well, it'll be very sweet. And then he's like, I asked the kids if you had a cup of coffee, and someone dropped in, even just a drop of strychnine, poison, even if it was your best friend that dropped in that poison, what would happen? And they'd be like, kids would say, you die. And he's like, that's right. The world is both strychnine and sugar, right? You have to stand guard. You have to watch the doors of your mind, stand guard at the door of your mind. And this is a little watered down. I've had a wild, like 24 hours, well, I'd say probably 72 hours. So my mind is like very jumpy. So I apologize for that, but even more than usual. But I listen to that all the time, and I think about that all the time, and I started to, the first thing I wake up, I don't touch my phone for a couple hours. Like, I literally will listen to or read something that I want to indoctrinate me. Like, it sounds weird. I've conditioned me, but I've chosen like 3 different things, 3 different avenues, 3 different books, pages, or audio bits that I will listen to first thing because I want it to be who I become. Right? It really works. But better than that, I'm just sugar. I mean, maybe some fats too, because you don't want to have diabetes. But I'm just dumping stuff in my nutrient density. I'm just, like getting strong for the day and becoming and making sure I settle in on who I want to be. It's the same as Tony's priming exercise. It's literally why he does it. And it's incredible. And I mean, I'll hop on like before this happened. I might have said I've been doing this for 2 years. I hope I didn't, but I think I might have. That's a lie. It's been about 8 months. It started in about April, May. So about 8 months. I went to a retreat in southern Utah with this woman, Laura, who I reached out to and asked if you knew, because it was like, just you two had similar mannerisms and yeah. Anyways, so there's that. I think about you all the time because of that, and I just wanted to say that I wish I did learn these things a little bit sooner, so I didn't give you negative aspects of interaction. But the other thing, so this is kind of I don't know where you are with faith and spirituality. Like, when centered in on how, why, who-ish. How come? I'm not talking religion, right? When I was dropping out of high school, 18 years old, I picked Jesus as my hero. If I say the word Jesus, everybody's like, oh, he's a Christian. And it's just like, well, I never said that. I said I believe Jesus was a person. And whether you believe he was real, he's God, or he never existed, my man got 30 to 40% of the world. So there's a lot to be learned there. And I always saw Jesus as the teachings being beautiful and so much more in depth than they actually see when you go to church. But I'm having a really hard time, like, finding a community to talk about this stuff with. But faith, I love to preach on faith. And I'm not talking religious preaching. I'm talking about teaching while adding in the oratory and the things that I've worked on my whole life because I want to impact. And I see that as being the best communicator, the best speaker, the best storyteller. It's probably because I aimed at being like Jesus and my homie told some stories, right? But it goes to the sowing and the reaping, the sower of the seed. And it makes me think about all those times you were coming to me and pursuing the giving of an opportunity to me. And I think it was, I'm pretty sure, I may be off, I think it was along the lines of network marketing. That you were trying to bring me into the meetings and see if it was a good fit because you thought I would be solid at it. Or you were just sowing a seed, right? Regardless of like outcome. And so I talk about and read about and try to formulate the best. And I'm not in storytelling mode, so I'm not going to kill it right now. But put me on a stage, you know? But the sower of the seed, like you sow the seed and first little bit falls upon some rocks. And the birds swoop in again. And the birds are, when I was at the gym and I'd be like, yeah, I was invited to a network marketing. Like I'm going to go to this meeting and I think we're going to be maybe like selling stuff on the other side of it. And then I'm going to be going, and everybody's like, you're not going to go see that, are you? That's not going to work. Those people are the birds, right? And this is another way of telling it that Jim Rohn gives it. But I also found out he got this from someone before him, and also found out that someone else, like not even close to him in a completely different realm, tells this story. And now there's a psychologist that just wrote a book that also tells this type of story. So I love getting these different perspectives, and you tie it together and you're just like, this is so beautiful. The birds. The homies that just don't believe because they can't see it for themselves, they come and they steal the seed from you, which was sown from a person that saw something. You, the sower of the seed. But you're resilient. The sower is always resilient, and the sower keeps sowing the seed because it plays into the law of averages. And some will, some won't. So what? Someone is waiting. And it's like, it's so beautiful because somehow, some way, within a year of you coming to me with these opportunities, I ended up getting into sales, like door-to-door sales. And it's just like, I love the way it wraps. Just like a bow. And so the sower of the seed, he drops the seed and it falls upon the rock. It falls upon the rocky ground where it starts to take root, but then the sun, a scorching, a warm, hot day, desert day, scorches the seed as it's got its roots based in rock and there's no foundation. So that's typically the people that they heard it, it didn't take root, right? You give a seminar to 1,000 people, really, like you tell 1,000 people, read this book, it's going to change your life. Seems like 10% will do it. If you're a really good salesman, maybe 20, 30, but they have to act on the emotion. Most of the time, the emotion dwindles, and you go to these seminars and you're high as a kite, and then you leave. You don't act on that emotion. It's the law of diminishing intent, and you leave that seminar. And I'm not trying to teach. That's not the point of this. If you get something from it, awesome. I'm tying it in. I promise you. And so that happens. You know, there's no foundation. Maybe they weren't the person they should be when they received the message. And I also believe that was me in the instance with you. I feel like I was all of these scenarios. And then the sower of the seed sows the seed, but it falls upon thorny ground. And so the seed comes up and it's like, let's do it. We're running up. And then I don't know if that's a good sawing noise, but the thorns cut it down. It bears no fruit. And the thorns are the little worries of the world. The little, I can't go. I actually have to stay at the gym until 9 o'clock on Thursday night. I don't have a reason. I have to be there, right? Probably the fear of missing out for D Hill. But familiarity, certainty, because my life seemed to be spiraling and wasn't too sure, right? So you want to hold on to what you know. I could stay here. When I threw that competition, it broke me. It just made me realize we're all much bigger than a room. And confining ourselves to that room for our life. Spent like 70 hours in that gym, 80 hours. So, anyways, sower of the seed sows upon the ground, and the thorns cut it down. And the thorns are the little worries of the world. I can't, the garage is dirty. I got to clean out the garage that day. I got to stay at the gym. I got to mop tonight. It's like, well, you mopped yesterday, you can mop tomorrow. You don't have to mop tonight. Well, I had to mop tonight. So, and then the seed, finally, the story says the seed falls on fertile ground, the best ground. That ground, it multiplies 30 times, 60 times, 100 times. That's why the law of averages is beautiful, right? You can talk to 1,000 people. All you need is 100. And it will multiply 30, 60, 100 times. 100 people. Tell 100 people. But I dwell on that story. I study that story a ton, and I think of you always when I do, because you were the first. I won't say that. You were my most memorable sower. And I don't want to diminish who you are. You're not just a sower. And you're so much more spectacular than a piece in Dylan's life. Far more spectacular than just that. But for me, you're also spectacular. And those two stories, I think about those the sower, I'm studying that hard right now, and I'm teaching it as well. And because I'm really into preaching and studying faith, like faith. Like, what if your faith was as strong as I need a sip of water? There's a water on the chair. I grab the water, right? What if your faith was that concrete, that tangible? I think anything's possible. I think literally anything's possible. But we have so many people that are like, oh, I believe. But it's like, no, you can say you believe, but really you probably don't believe in your head. And then on top of that, your underlying unconscious mind, I can guarantee it doesn't believe, because there's other narratives in the world that have to play roles. And it's like, I genuinely believe that if you can get to a place of knowledge, like I think it's past believing, past hoping, I think it's knowledge. It is, right? If I want to take a look at the time, all I have to do is end the video, swipe up, and I will see the time. It's a guarantee. It's not an if, it is a when. And I believe if you get your faith in things to sit there, boom. And that's why I disappear on social media, because it's just like, I just, it's so easy to say I have faith, I believe, I can do anything, but yeah. So I won't end on that note, because that's a whole nother, that's an hour-long Zoom call to sort things out about the universe, If you ever want to, let me know. I'd love to be there, but yeah. I had to make this and put this up for you. And I always keep names out because I like to keep them up. Let's call this my angels along the way. But once again, you're way more than a piece in my life. That's what I love about this world. Like, everyone has a story for us. I think it's impossible to not create some type of narrative. Even if we say we don't create a story for another person, I think it's impossible, because they'll fit an archetype that we're looking for, wanting or needing, and we try to filter them in there. And it's just like, that's why it's take reins, take control of your own life, and make sure you're not in a position where others can create the narrative for you, But once again, I'm not trying to teach or preach. I'm just saying you have been a spectacular part of my life and very influential, and I admire you very much, and I love you very much. I do. And thank you, thank you. All right, I'm gonna end it now. I can get pretty emotional, but